In honor of Good Friday, Christ's story is your story. There's so many times in our lives we go through that 3-day period, suffering, death, resurrection. If you're not going through these cycles, you're not really growing in life. By the time you've reached a certain age, you should be able to look back and see, I've had many deaths in my life. Like, I don't recognize that person. I don't know who that is. You should be able to reflect on the kinds of thoughts that you had when you look back at a picture of yourself, what you thought was important at the time, what you were going through at the time, what you thought was real at the time. Many times what we think is real isn't. This death and rebirth process also plays out on a bigger scale when it comes to spiritual awakening. You live a life, you suffer immensely. You realize that life is constantly churning you towards your own death, and you die while still in the body. You allow yourself to die. You succumb to God's will. That everything in life is leading to your own dissolution. Because the more you resist the inevitable, the more you suffer. So you carry your own cross. Everything that you've built yourself to be, and you willingly crucify yourself. You allow yourself to die, which means to completely let go and allow your old identity, everything you cling to, everything that you've come to know, to die. And in the story about freeing Barabbas, as a robber or something, and people were like, free Barabbas, and like he's the one that got freed or something like that. I don't know, I can't really remember the story too well. A metaphor for the masses are seeing through such low consciousness that they can't even see the truth, even if it's looking them in their face, bleeding and with thorns on his head. They'd rather glorify lower consciousness than to face what it truly means to face truth in the eye. They'd rather enjoy the pleasures of life than to seek liberation or to even recognize liberation. You have to be in a certain consciousness to realize that it's all about liberation. And then you have rebirth, because you don't know that there is something else on the other side of this death. And there's absolutely no way that you're going to know what that's going to look like. It requires a deep trust and a deep faith in destiny. He knew that he'd be risen up on the third day. So unless you can see through materiality, unless you can see through the illusions that we find ourselves in, unless you can see through our importance that we give to temporary things, we'll never realize the kingdom, and we'll glorify false idols, meaning materiality, life after life, until we start to actually look for the light of salvation. That's what the Christ story is about. His story is your story.